So I was walking down the street on the way to the park to come here and film this video, and this guy was like, "Oh, give me a smile." And I said to him, "Don't tell me what to do." But I was so like self-satisfied with the fact that I was actually gonna tell him that I smiled when I said it, and he's like, "Oh, I got one." I was like, "Oh, damn you, female socialization, damn you, smug self-satisfaction." Anyway, I fucking said it though. Alright, so I've been making YouTube videos for a while, but absurdly, I just found out that in order to get into the algorithm where you actually show up in YouTube searches and things like that, you need to produce a video every week. So I'm gonna give it a good old Mariah Carina show try and see if I can make regular, consistent, weekly content for you guys. I am just going to share exactly what it is that is going on with me this week. So thank you for listening. So my boyfriend took me to Hawaii for my birthday, and I just got back 2 days ago. Maybe you notice I'm tan. And Hawaii is probably a place that I would say is like my happy place, like my spiritual home kind of place, except for the fact that every time I stay in Hawaii too long, I really miss the city and urban environment. So I've had to come to this sort of more realistic, balanced, embracing of all polarities realization that Hawaii is my spirit place and the city is my spirit place. And if I have too much of one and not enough of the other, I go crazy, right? If I'm on the island too long, I go crazy. If I'm in the city too long, I go crazy. But anyway, so I have been in the city a really long time. I was in Portland all rainy, cold, snowy, winter long, trying to do that thing, like, you know, build my practice, make a living, blah, 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 blah. I'm a 30-something white woman. Yes, so my boyfriend takes me to Hawaii for my birthday. And originally when I get there, I'm like oscillating between these two really extreme states, right? The first one is just like completely enraptured by the island, by the spirit, by the flowers, by the air, by the water, by the fragrance. I'm just like being made love to by the nature there and making love to it, and I feel these like wiggly vibrations of color from my body interacting with the wiggly vibrations of color from all of the physical phenomena around me, and we're like flowers blooming towards each other and tongue kissing our fragrant nectars. And then this other side where I am like in full blown just ego contraction suffering of like, you know, judging my body and judging other people's bodies and being like, does my boyfriend really love me? Does he really? You know, I don't like the way he said that. Does he really? So I think there's something about the contrast between the two, right? Because those things are always going on. Sometimes you're in the flow and you're feeling in the unity of things, and sometimes you're super self-contracted and you're just like, feel really cut off and separate from life and joy and all of that stuff. So, but it's more subtle, right? But there's something about being in Hawaii, being in that place that makes the juxtaposition really strong. And it's so clear to me just how much suffering is created from the state of when I feel cut off, when I'm making myself separate, when I get into comparison and judgment and you don't love me kind of thinking. So my boyfriend gets us a boat to go swim with the dolphins. The boat leaves really early in the morning. I am not a morning person. It's like this, you know, thing with all these other people. There's all these teenage boys with GoPros, like all ready to chase down the dolphins, and I'm all judgmental about how they're gonna like, you know, why the fuck do you need a picture of the dolphin? Like, it's just like, look, I was there. Look, I did it. Like, there's so many, like, go on the fucking internet. Do you internet, bro? Like, you can find such gorgeous pictures of nature, of wildlife on the natural and the internet. Like, why do you need to put something in between your direct experience of beholding a creature in the wild, you know? I got all my judgments going on. It's fucking early. The guy sits down next to us. He's like, hey, I'm Rich from Virginia and I'm a talker. I'm like, oh God, you know, I gotta talk to Rich and blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. So they're all on the boats doing like walkie-talkies with other boats trying to figure out where the dolphins are. And, you know, they catch the scent of it, and so they go swimming through the water really fast, and we go to the first point and we see the fins of the dolphins in the water, and they're like, go, 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 and everyone's like elbowing each other on the boat, you know, trying to be the first one in the water. And of course the teenagers with the GoPros are the first ones there, and they got their fucking testosterone just pumping their legs and their fast fins, and they're going for it and going for it, their cameras, and like shoving them in the dolphins' faces, and I'm chasing down the teenage boys like, I'm gonna get my fucking direct experience of phenomenological communion with the dolphins, you fucking bastards, you know. And the dolphins, like, the teenage boys are actually very good at finding where the dolphins are, so they find them, but then they chase them off with their cameras. And so then I'm like, fuck, you know, and I'm going this way and that way and trying to like sneak around the teenage boys, and of course I get lost, and then I'm just in like blue water going in circles because I don't want to get too far from the boat. So I'm like swimming around like motherfucker, and all of a sudden, whoosh, there I see there's 2 adult dolphins and a mother dolphin with her baby, right? They just had their babies. It's that time of year, and they swim like little spoons. So there's the mother dolphin and the baby dolphin right under it. And the mother dolphin gives me this look, and it's like this piercing white light comes, and almost like an X-ray, just like pierces through my soul. I know that sounds so cheesy to say, but you know, it fucking happened. Just this gaze of this dolphin comes into me fully and through me and gives me this map of where I'm at. And I can see so clearly, here are the places where I am genuinely connected to something transcendent of my ego construct, of my identity. Here's where I am actually at the level of consciousness, participating in a oneness that is not wrapped up in me as a separate being with my identity, trying to make my individual life circumstances better, you know, and then feeling really upset when what I perceive from that place is worse. Here are the places where I have created a facsimile of being connected to something transcendent of myself, where I maybe engage in practices that look spiritual, or practices that look like I am attempting, you know, with all the effort of my ego identity to experience something transcendent, or where it's enough of a sort of like a simulation that it appears that way, but it's actually my egoic identity who is creating that facsimile, creating that simulacra that appears to be involved in something other than what it is, which is just me coming from this feeling like I am a separate ego trying to do something. Yeah, so there's like basically what I would call all my bullshit, and then there's the stuff that's like more obvious bullshit, which is me being like judgmental about the guys and their thing, and like poor Rich from Virginia who just wanted to have a nice conversation on a morning cruise. And it just shows me with this X-ray vision like where I am, and this sort of topographical map about the ways in which I am wielding and engaging with conscious attention itself. And it blows me the fuck away. And it just makes me want to be so much more serious and so much more dedicated to my sadhana, to my practice, right? To call myself on my own bullshit, where I am creating, of course, obviously, where I'm like judging and comparing and doing things that are really overt, but also on my bullshit where I'm creating these facsimiles, where I'm not walking my talk, or where I might engage in certain activities that would be leaning towards something like that, but then feel like stressed out by them, and then go back to like binge watch YouTube for hours and like eat ice cream cereal, because ice cream cereal is my favorite food. But yes, it made me want to be very, very serious about my sadhana. But then I was wondering, what exactly is my sadhana? Yeah. And I was thinking, what was so powerful about that moment with the dolphin, actually? One, just that it happened, right? But two, that I actually opened myself up to receive the dolphin's piercing white light X-ray vision gaze. And that it was my experience of being seen so deeply by the dolphin, but also my experience of allowing the dolphin to see me, right? Which felt like something that I didn't have control over. It happened before I had a chance to block it. And that in letting myself be seen, I was actually penetrated with such a profound experience of love. That I think the fear that I've had in terms of really letting someone see me, and the subconscious ways in which I've tried to block it, is like, oh, if they really see it, they won't love it. you know? And yet here was this creature, this wild creature, this, you know, harbinger of whatever, that was able to see me in all my bullshit and still love me. And then I opened myself to it. And so I was like, I think sadhana has something to do with opening myself up to being seen, to actually receiving. And I started wondering and looking in other areas of my life, where else am I not receiving? And one of the things that came to me most clearly was that I was not letting myself truly receive how much my boyfriend loves me. Right? That because of whatever, you know, damage, wounding, fear, etc. that I've experienced, I'm putting up all these blocks in terms of not trusting his love. I doubt it. I like make it hinged on these tiny things. And actually, when I got back on the boat, he looked at me with these like chocolate, earthy, brown eyes, and I just felt like, holy moly, this man loves me. And something in my heart was opened up to actually be able to receive it. This might sound cheesy, this might sound really cliche, but it happened to me. It happened to me in my direct experience, which makes it feel really fucking different. So I was like, holy motherfucking shit, he loves me, right? And then I'm like, wow, how am I blocking his love? And all these different things came to me. Like, how am I not receiving him? And I was like, oh my God, when we have sex, I don't let the energy of his penis like actually penetrate me fully, right? I don't let it like actually like fuck my heart open, fuck my crown open to all the glory of God, right? I'm involved in like whatever, you know, this like much more minimal version where I'm like trying to make it feel good and trying to get an orgasm. And that's one of those places where like I've wanted fucking, you know, tantric sex. I wanted to engage in this like deep, rich sensuality, but I am the one who is blocking it out of this inability to truly receive his love, yeah? And then I'm like, wow, what does he see when he looks at me with those chocolatey brown eyes, right? And just this image of myself that I'm almost like shy or embarrassed to share with you guys, but it was like this true, like super, like wet, loving, open, almost like like liquid honey, flower, nectar, like all that stuff. It's gonna sound cheesy if I try and put it in words, but he saw this deep essence of me, this deep, like yin, receptive, loving, pulsing, light-filled essence of me. I'm like, wow, I think part of what it means to receive is also being able to be rested, to be relaxed enough inside myself to just be in that open essence place. And after that, the whole rest of the trip, that was my sadhana, was coming back to that deep relaxation inside, coming back to that embodiment of my own essence place. And it was a fucking amazing trip, man. It was just like, holy shit. I mean, it was instead of like my wiggly things coming out to like meet with the flower wiggly things, I just let myself be like completely penetrated by the natural world. I let myself be completely penetrated by him. And it's like, you know what I mean? Just, right? And I let myself be that true essence place inside of me, which is everything that I've been trying to get to with, you know, like, let's have talks about what kind of tantric practices we want to do. Really, it was also the whole time this internal game about allowing myself to be that, right? Allowing myself to let him be his essence, which is so much more yang. It was really good, you guys. So that's the first point that it made me realize, is that part of the art of receiving is allowing yourself to receive, right? Is just truly opening yourself up and like clearing out all those cobwebs, all those blocks to actually receiving. But the second part is actually thinking about the giver, right? And how they see you, and being in that vibration of being what it is that they're giving to. This is really fresh for me, so I might not be articulating it well, but it's like, if you are not receiving, right? Like if my boyfriend is like having sex with me, right? If he's like penetrating me, and in his like chocolatey brown eyes. He is seeing penetrating that like open, pulsing, light, wet, receptive energy. And I'm in like, does he love me or not? Then his actual, like the gift of his penetration cannot go fully all the way through me, right? Like it's like if I am in the vibration of also being rested and relaxed in that deep essence place of being that, then it creates like a vibrational grid that actually allows for that penetration to come through. Point number one. Point number two is I came back to Portland and I sobbed on the plane. I sobbed coming back, and I realized that, you know, the city might be part of my spirit place, but it's also a very difficult place to be in that open, receptive state. And of course that is now the sadhana, right? Like it's up for me to find that essence place and see if I can kind of beam that essence through everything that it is that I'm doing here, even if it is being stuck in traffic or even if it is sending emails, right? Like to continue to be rested and receptive in that place. But I think part of the reason why I've so emphasized romantic relationships in my life, why I've given away so much to them, is because it seems like society, at least in the United States, is set up where we all have to be very young, you know, we have to like give and do and whatever. So I've been looking to my romantic relationships as this place where I can finally deeply rest and relax. And then even there's still so much more letting go to be able to do that. But it made sense to me why, especially living in a city in the United States, 2019, why it seems like romantic relationships would be a place where I, as someone with a more yin essence, could actually release into that. And then why I've, you know, gotten really addictive cycles and like really fucking put myself through hell trying to make that happen, trying to like find that place of deep relaxation, which is once again bringing us back to finding a way to do it regardless of external circumstances. More to come, maybe next week, let you know how that's going. However, when I first arrived, I was like, it's so fucking hard to do that. You cannot walk around the street being like, fuck me flowers, you know? Or you can, but you might attract a lot of really like scary and dangerous attention. So, so I'm crying on the plane and feeling myself contracting again and feeling like, you know, why isn't he doing this or that? Because I would want him to do this or that if I were crying, and if he were crying, I would do this or that, and blah, blah, blah. And making up all these stories about reasons why I feel bad, like, oh, I feel bad because my life isn't working out or because it isn't truly what I'm supposed to be doing. And then I realized I don't need to make any fucking reasons. It's just like a grief. I'm just letting emotion pass through me. Relax in that rested place, let it come through, etc. And I have a point, I do. So then I find myself feeling like really emotional and more expressive than usual. I think in general I tend to be kind of a little bit muted in my emotional expression, right? I tend to go very mind first and try to figure out things logically. And I'm like, no, fuck it. Like, I'm a woman, you know, I just need to like express myself. And so I start doing it and I'm like, this is like, you know, it started to feel like this is goddess energy coming through me, blah, blah, blah. And I had a day being like that, of just being like, I'm gonna tell it like it is, you know? And I'm gonna say when I'm upset, and it is that like Shakti or something. But then I realized it wasn't making me feel any better, right? It was actually making me feel a lot worse. And you might know this from the way that I'm telling this story, but I didn't put this together at first, that actually that energy of being super emotionally expressive about like, this is how I'm feeling, you know, was very different actually than what that yin rested place of deep love and receptive energy felt like. And it made me realize that I think a lot of what gets called masculine or feminine or Shiva or Shakti or whatever, that we take to be kind of our gendered essence, if you will, right? You're like, oh, this is my Shakti coming out, like, oh, this is my masculinity, whatever, isn't actually the true essence of what we are attempting to rest and relax into, right? It is the result of that not being able to be expressed, yeah? That my like emotionality wasn't the direct experience I had of my deep feminine essence place. It was the result of not being able to feel rested and relaxed in it. It's almost like in the face of it being denied to me, or in the face of me like denying myself that experience, this other expression came out, right? Like you like kink a hose over here and it comes squirting out that way. And I think that's true even, you know, like you could think a lot of these sort of like incel, alt-right kind of guys. You get a bunch of disgruntled teenage boys who are all wanting to really be in that like directive flow of their young essence, and yet they feel like they can't. They're rejected by girls. They like don't feel, you know, liked at school or whatever. And so it comes out like these like angry alt-right, fuck women, fuck gays, fuck whoever kind of thing. And then we call that masculine energy. But it's actually this distortion of that true essence of it. You know what I mean? And the same thing, like especially, you know, in some of the New Age circles I run in, there's a lot of like really big, like beautiful women who engage in a lot of emotional expressivity and feel that as part of them connecting to some kind of archetypal feminine power, right? But that archetypal feminine power, the way that is expressing through them might be different than what it would feel like if they were really actually in that receptive yin kind of place. So yes, that is my realizations of the week. That there is this pure essence place that feels really good. And then a lot of the ways in which we attempt to get back to that essence place are actually the expressive result of ways in which we deny it to ourselves. So yeah, that's my story for the week. Hopefully I will see you next week. All right, bye.